Your position changes your perspective. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 2 verse 6 that we're raised up with him and seated with him in heavenly places. And him is Jesus, and Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father. He is on the throne, right? And if we are in him and he is in us, we are seated in him in the heavenly places on the throne. So what does that really mean to us? How can we apply and rest in being seated in him in the heavenly places? Well, many years ago, I actually preached a message about don't get off that throne, because the Bible also tells us that the enemy's a footstool, right? He's under our feet. How can he be under our feet if we're not seated in the heavenly places, if we weren't up and above him, above the enemy, that is, in Christ Jesus? So what's going on here on earth, our earthly circumstances, it really shouldn't, and that's the key word, unfortunately, shouldn't define our identity. It shouldn't define our perspective. Because if we can remain in him and remain seated in the heavenly places, remaining in the spirit, not the flesh, we know we already have the victory over the enemy, over all the wiles of the enemy. And that is where we war. We war in a peace that surpasses all understanding, or I should say we war from a place of peace that surpasses all understanding. We war from a place of already having victory. We war from a place that has the enemy under our feet, because it's not our war anyways. And that war has already been won. So if we could apprehend that in our spirit, because that's where Jesus is, in our spirit man, if we can walk by the spirit, not by the flesh, it's when we come down off of that throne and we start looking at the circumstances around us from the natural or in the flesh. That's where we start to get defeated, because that battle, as Joyce Meyer says, is the battlefield of the mind. And if the enemy can get us to believe those lies, those thoughts, whatever, deceive us in our mind, which is our soul, our spirit, will, emotions, intellect, then he wins temporarily. So I just really want to encourage you to wrap your mind around, get it from the spirit into our soul, that we're seated in the heavenly places. The battle's already won. Jesus is the ultimate warrior. And if we remain in him, hidden in Christ Jesus, the enemy can't touch us like that. Because Jesus does want us to live healed, whole, and holy. Have an amazing day, y'all. And happy 4th of July weekend.